Da, 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 da. There we go. We're right there. Thursday. Welcome to your Thursday. My name is Dean, and we're here. We're ready to go. We got lots of updates today. We got some good stuff to dig into today. We've got an incredible Damar Hamlin update. We've got an update on the Prince Prince Harry, who's telling everybody everything, and it's way too much. And we're in the age of too much information. We're going to talk about expensive chicken, sexualized yoga. We're going to get into Jordan Peterson, a little Chris Sky stuff today, too. But welcome back to the program. My name is Dean. That is Ryan Lindley from the Linds Report. Download that podcast at Ryan Lindley on Twitter. And there you go. Lachlan Cross, 957 Cruise FM at Edmonton, host of the Locker Room Morning Show.
Go Canada,
Canada's
go.
best rock and roll show. Before we get to all the updates and we have some fun today, yes. Can we talk for 1 second about the World Junior Hockey Championships?
Talk
I'm not
about
talking
whatever
about
you want.
Canada. I'm just talking about the kids, just talking about the game that I watched yesterday. Where Canada wiped out the United States 6-2 in a semifinal, go to the gold medal game of the World Junior Hockey Championships. This is it. It's our rite of passage. We get it. Shouldn't have won the game, even though they did. Goaltender stood on his head. And I was thinking about this last night because I was like, that Milic kid, just incredible. I was thinking about this last night. I like beating America at things. Oh, hi there. Nice to see you. Give us a call. I like beating America at things almost more than I like winning gold medals. I mean that. And I don't know what it is, but losing to Czechia in the first round, I thought it was cute in the round robin because they're Czechoslovakia more players.
That's a good
from another country.
Dude.
That's a good big team. But hold it. Just let me get through this. I wasn't like unhappy, mad, furious. I would have been furious if America beat Canada yesterday.
Yes.
Like furious. And if Czechia beats Canada in the gold medal game of the World Junior Hockey Championships, I won't be furious. I'll be like, Silver's pretty good. We're still a powerhouse. Nice to see the boys come together. An unlikely run. Great tournament by a couple of players. Excited to see Bedard get drafted, all that other stuff. But I can tell you this. If they lose tonight, beating the U.S. yesterday was just as good. Just as good.
Yeah.
I don't even care if they fucking play the game tonight, right?
There's something about beating the United. The well put. It's petty, and I'm okay with it. Go get me a petty hat. I'll wear it.
Yeah. You gotta be petty. Be Tom Petty.
It's so true.
We're the pettiest people of all time.
I cannot stand. One of the best signs I saw in the crowd last night. Right after the win, she got on camera. Sorry, not sorry.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Sorry, not sorry. It's our national word. Sorry, but we're not really sorry. No, it was a fucking great game. Anyway, I'm excited. 6:30 tonight. Is that what time the gold medal game starts? 6:30?
6:30 your time, 4:30 Mountain Standard Time. Actually, the game I'm missing the other game. I've been watching
bronze. Who cares?
For bronze. I care.
Sweden, USA. You actually watch a bronze medal game?
I would, yeah. I was napping.
Did you watch the relegation game too? Latvia and Austria? Did you watch that?
Watch the Latvia-Austria game where Austria in the whole tournament scored one goal and had 60 scored on them? No,
yeah,
I did
that
not
one.
watch that.
Are you going to be watching the disc golf semifinals this weekend as well?
Yeah.
Loser.
Do you know what it is? I was watching the tournament. Like I watched a couple games, kind of in and out when I was working, just because you could, right? Like it was just kind of on during the day. There's a bunch of different hockey games, kids playing hockey. It's a lot of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Canada's so much better at hockey than everybody else in the world. It's scary. No, we are. We are. We're the kings of the game, and there were teams in that tournament. Like I kind of felt bad when we fisted Germany 11 dick. I'm like, Germany shouldn't be there. Germany, it's just unfair. Anybody that plays this in a game of hockey that isn't the United States, Sweden, Finland, Czech Republic, fuck Russia. Probably all on PEDs too. 16-year-olds on roids.
Well, have you seen their kids?
No kidding.
When they come over? A couple years ago, I remember the Russian kids. I remember thinking the same thing. I mean, I know you don't have to be a genius to go, I think those Russians, they might be cheating with drugs. But honestly, have you seen their team? They were just massive. Yeah. The whole across the board. They made every other team look tiny. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the last time. It was at least 3 years ago they played. And I remember thinking that was the first thing I thought when I was watching the game. I'm like, Jesus, are they drugging the kids now?
I believe they are. Yeah, I think it's, and it, not only is it encouraged, I think it's like part of the program over.
Probably mandatory. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
because there's a lot of
you're given steroids in Russia.
Put this in your coffee.
You know how many people, like when you have a baby and you're like, oh, here's some stuff for colostrum. Here's some supplements. They probably inject steroids into Pedialyte in Russia and into baby formula in Russia. That's why those guys, dude, I'm telling you, that's why those Russian guys come out with their eyebrows like way down here, like this, and they all have tiny balls.
No, this is weakness vaccine. This is vaccine for weakness. Make him strong, like bull.
Put this in your baby formula. You will get hockey player.
That's right.
Yeah.
You want to grow hockey player? That's how we grow hockey player.
Steroids in the Pedialyte. How about the NFLAC too, huh?
It is kind of sad if they are doing it.
They are. Yeah, they are for sure.
It's kind of
they're genetic experiments over there, dude. Because they're like, they encourage it. They just want to breed a whole bunch of like super Christian weirdo hockey players. That's why Putin plays hockey every Christmas. By the way, canceled. And I wasn't unhappy that the Russians weren't at the I wasn't unhappy that the Russians weren't at the World Cup. Like, I could give a fuck about
Belarus too can go.
You know what is like was and Belarus, they can go fuck themselves too. Yeah. It's you know why? Because I hate them. They're terrorists. They're fucking killing people indiscriminately. When someone's like, well, what about the Belarusian kids? And here's fuck them. I could care less. And here's the other thing. We're celebrating Alexander Ovechkin every second day in the NHL. And his march to 894 to be the greatest goal scorer in the history of the game. And he's got fucking Putin, but he's got, like, he refuses to remove, and I know his family's in Russia, and I get all the leverage and all that other stuff. We should just be fucking not paying attention and not giving a shit.
Yeah.
I can't believe we are. Like, as hockey fans, like, it's just fucking ridiculous. Anyway, Canada tonight. Canada, Czechia, gold medal game. Excited for that. That's good.
What I want to happen, and the reason why I'm okay with it, because there is an argument to be made. Oh man, you're taking it out on it. Those kids that are playing hockey right now and try to make a go of it. They're not responsible for starting that war. But I think the pressure needs to be put on. It needs to be put on that group of people, that entire population. And again, that's why I know the sanctions don't work. Like, it takes a long time for that kind of stuff. But if you're going to change sort of the overall thought process over there, I think it has to start with, hey, Mom, why am I not in this tournament? Well, son, we're fighting a war that the West doesn't agree with. But why are we there, Mom? Right? You know what I mean? Like, I think those conversations need to start happening. And I am 100% comfortable with the idea that their athletes and the smartest people in that country are trying to leave. And there should be there's been a massive brain dump. They talked about that when they tried to recruit a whole bunch of people, anybody with any means whatsoever.
And a brain and the ability to reason just split, right? So like some of the more important people,
they were saying that they wanted to recruit 1 million people to the army, and they say they lost more than 1 million people within a week or two, just trying to get the hell out of Russia. And I think we should allow it. As in Europe and in North America, we should be open arms. You want to get out of Russia? Come, right?
No way. You kettle them, you build big fucking fences around that country, and you say, hey, you can get out when you go take that guy out. We'll let you into the country when you go take that.
That's a good point. But who's going to do that? Like, how are you going to motivate
Ovechkin with a slap shot from the hash marks, maybe.
I like
in that charity hockey game, which he didn't play in this Christmas. Remember, every year he scores like 10 goals because they let him, Putin. And he's like, we're not doing it this year because someone will shoot me in the head.
I can't wear my bulletproof vest on the ice.
Yeah. Someone will put Novichok in jockstrap.
Somebody should get to him, though. I mean,
we'll see.
I don't know if that's what it took.
For this another update. Little update for you. We just finished the World Junior Hockey Championship update. Let's get to the Dana White update. This is going to be a real quick one. Did you know he was starting this thing called the Power Slap League? You guys familiar with the Power Slap League? You know the one where you see like
this can't be real.
Russia. Yeah, he was.
This has to be fake.
It was supposed to debut on TBS on Monday. Power slapping. If you haven't seen some of the promos for it, I was actually kind of looking forward to it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
This can't be real. This is fake.
No,
is this the coffee?
No, I'm telling you.
No.
He was starting. You've seen the video of the professional Russian, Bulgarian.
But this can't be real.
Leagues. It's 100% real. They were supposed to debut, which is fucking unbelievable. The Dana White's Power Slap series.
He's such a dick.
Well, hold it.
This is totally DaCosta.
Well, I know. What did he say?
No, that is a fake picture. This is a fake article.
I'm telling you.
You guys put this together.
No. Listen, watch. Here's the promo. I'm telling you the truth. Slap fight. It's called the Dana White's Power Slap
laughing
series.
like he did something.
No, I'm telling you the truth, dude. Here's the trailer. Watch it. It was supposed to come out on Monday.
My name is Jewel Kid Diamond Scott from New Orleans, Louisiana. What you're gonna see from me is straight, vicious power. That's what I'm talking about. I'm a three-sport athlete, so a pro kickboxer, pro MMA fighter, pro boxer. I've taken a really technical approach to this. I've learned how to generate as much power as I can from the floor without moving my feet. I don't feel like any human could sustain an unobstructed shot from me. I feel like this is home.
Good news. It is home because it was Dana White's Power Slap series. And TBS announced today they were going to suspend it indefinitely. They took it off the schedule. The owner of the
I hadn't seen that video, I would have left today thinking you dicks behind the scenes created.
Let me throw this grenade into the mix. What are the chances I know I'm going to get in trouble for this.
Oh,
so
here we go.
The week I'll just say it because we live in a conspiratorial world. The week before this debuts, he's seen slapping his wife and she's slapping him.
You think it was a PR stunt?
I don't know, but I can't totally write it off either. Like one of those ones because this is New Year's Eve, right? Holding her, slapping her because he hits women. That's what Dana White does. He abuses women. That's what he's doing here. And then the Slap Fight League is supposed to drop on Monday.
That exchange, though, I don't want to.
Did he hit a woman?
That exchange between him and his wife doesn't seem like something coordinated, right?
No.
And they've copped to it, and that was it. And if it was coordinated, I imagine they'd probably say, hey, listen, we put it on because we got the Slap Fight Power Slap League. So it's probably not. I'm just, throwing a monkey wrench into it, a little hand grenade into the conversation. That guy. What are the chances? Anyway, yeah, dude, it's over for
tonight. I want you to come at
me,
and I want you to slap me, and then I'm going to slap you back a couple of times.
Tag you a couple times.
We're going to use this as a promotional tool for the Slap League.
You good for that?
Dean.
No, I know. I'm just, I can't.
You okay with this, dear?
Let's impugn our entire relationship and destroy our family.
Let's fuck the kids up.
Yeah, you're right, actually. Anyway, another update, and this is the good variety. How about the news we got today about Damar Hamlin? This is incredible. The Bills safety Damar Hamlin opened his eyes last night, responsive, showing signs of improvement.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Oh, yeah, dude. Gets better.
Okay.
This guy, I get goosebumps talking about Damar Hamlin. Of course, he died on the field, had to be resuscitated twice, Monday Night Football, Bengals, Bills, whole team, end game. Don't even plan on replaying it. They're going to have to, but it doesn't matter. Because this guy opened his eyes last night. And not only did he open his eyes, but we got a whole update from the medical team today. It was a 50-minute live stream. Watch the whole thing. His brain function is intact. Let's get to the actual information. This is Doc Flynn. She's an actual NFL doctor. Damar's age, fitness, immediately high quality of CPR and defibrillation were the difference makers. Outstanding job by everyone. He received defibrillation and 1 round of CPR in the field. Doctors say the cause of cardiac arrest is not known yet. Remember that. It's going to require more investigations. His organs are reportedly showing improvement. Right now, the focus is on allowing his lungs and organs to heal. Doctors say that he had textbook resuscitation, dispels rumors that Damar required a tracheotomy on the field. So no tracheotomy. Great news. And read this. Damar is communicating through writing because he's still requiring ventilator support from the breathing tube. His first question, did we win?
That's awesome. Good for him.
It's not just that the lights are on, Doc Flynn, NFL doctor said. He's home. Like, he's got full brain function. The guy was dead for minutes. He's moving his extremities well. It gets better. The stated goal is to get Damar back to where he was 8 p.m. on Monday, and he talking football's too early. And the details are fascinating. It was a couple minutes before CPR was started. Damar initially had a pulse and lost it. When resuscitation began after his pulse was restored, he was transferred to the hospital or the ambulance where he was then intubated, taken to the hospital. Early to tell how he's doing emotionally, right? Like when you wake up and you find out you were dead and they brought you back to life. I mean, the flood of emotions have got to be incredible. Rumor of a jaw injury dispelled. Doctors don't know what cleaning out his lungs meant. So they were just, and this was I'm just kind of paraphrasing the actual press conference from the doctors at U of Cincinnati. Cardiac workup continues specifically with the type of cardiologist who specializes in arrhythmias. Damar did suffer ARDS to why he was prone. He did undergo targeted temperature management to help with his recovery. He does not have, this is great news, do not have any radiographic signs of brain injury since a concussion is a clinical diagnosis. He cannot be evaluated at this time. Great fucking news.
No
yeah,
kidding.
It is.
Huh?
Yeah.
No
and
kidding.
I hope down the road he just stays away from vaccines, right? Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah. And obviously it's too early to tell. Like they say that they don't know exactly where he is 100% at this point in time. But
can I start asking people that are running around?
Say it was a vaccine.
Yeah.
You know what I love the most? There's guys like someone was like, I wonder if he was wearing a mask in the ambulance. I hope he doesn't get COVID.
People are so I love this stupid. World, man. I love it.
It is. It's like now it's separated. Anytime someone dies or collapses or gets sick, it separates into one of two groups, right? The group that really hopes that they can use this for some kind of vaccine tweet, or a group of people who are like, we don't give a fuck about those people anymore. We're just mocking them at this point, right? That's kind of what happens, and that's what we saw. But
Dean, it is experimental.
Yeah, well, it's an experimental job, right? Fuck's sakes.
You stupid fuckers. Anyway. Just stupid fuckers. That's all they are. Dumb.
I couldn't believe it when I saw that.
Fuckers.
That night,
what do you mean? All the people jumping
Twitter.
on the vaccine bandwagon and saying we know? Like, you know what I loved about it too is this. You remember Stu Peters from the Stu Crew? Remember the guy that he started this movie called Died Suddenly, and it's like he had a whole bunch of videos and pictures of people who collapsed from the same thing or something like it, or heart arrhythmia and natural causes. Half the people in the movie Died Suddenly actually lived, and he's like passes them off as dead. And now you know what he's doing because he's achieved, I don't know, some kind of notoriety. He's selling something called Protection Shield for spike proteins, so they don't get in your mouth around vaccinated people. What do you think the Protection Shield is, boys?
It's a dental dam.
It's a mask.
I thought it was a dental dam. I was going to say, you make people walk around with a dental dam. They talk like that anyway.
Yeah. We shouldn't go this route, but I will. I think I mentioned it too. I may have mentioned it. So there was a guy that used to work in our building, and so he was on social media, and he went off the deep end on the a lot of guys that had a serious run with drugs too.
Yeah.
Like he was one of those guys. Anyway, he was on Facebook early on
because most of them find
pandemic.
Jesus, and that's how they get out of drug heaven, right?
Okay, so he at the beginning, and the only reason I'm reminded of this story is that because you brought up the spike proteins. So he had a dog, and his parents were looking after it because he was a bit of a Gong Show, and he was in and out of jail and stuff like this. So COVID hits and his dog dies. And he went on social media and blamed his parents for killing his dog. He said they got the vaccine and the spike proteins killed my dog. Okay, but his dog was like 20. You can't even make this up. You can't.
But dude, you know the difference between like hearing that story 6 months ago and hearing it now? I fucking laugh at all of them. Like someone, you know the Wizard of Oz when the house falls on the Wicked Witch of the West, and you see her ruby shoes underneath it. Mm-hmm. Someone put something out just with the picture. It's like, heard she got vaccinated. I guess that sucks, huh? Yeah. And because that's where we're at with that crew, right? Like you'll see a guy die in a car accident, and someone will take that, probably Jamie Salé or Theo Fleury, and go, "Oh, that's because they got discombobulated after they got a heart attack, after they got their shot. That's the jab. It's the jab. It's the jab. It's the jab. It's never the jab. It's none of that stuff. Jab's good for you. The vaccines help you. Vaccines are great for you. But
we may be where we're at right now because of it.
Yeah,
just saying.
Congratulations.
Because of what? The vaccine?
Vaccine, yeah. We may have actually dodged a bullet because of the vaccine. So
anyway, DeMar Hamlin, fuck the anti-vaxxers. DeMar Hamlin, by the way, his GoFundMe's now over $7 million. Only asked for $2,500 so he could give some kids some toys for Christmas. $7 million. Wait till he sees that when he wakes up. So many good news stories. He's going to be back on the field. Go Bills. And here's the thing. Can you imagine that team rallying around this on their march in the play? Because we can start talking about that now, I think. We can start talking about football again. We can start talking about what this means to the Buffalo Bills, their players, their organization, and that extra fucking motivation. How intense is the playoffs going to be if you're a Bills fan now? I think that the story adds so much more.
I don't think they're going to play that game, though. Awesome. I get the sense that they're going to try to figure something out, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, they will. They'll figure something out. I don't know what it is. They're either going to play the game again or they'll figure it out. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's just more great news. Bad news, though. If you like chicken. Did you guys see this? See this video running around, or this picture running around that CTV reporter put out when she was shopping for chicken breasts? See this? See how much 5 chicken breasts was at Loblaws, Galen West and Company? $40.
$26 a kilo.
See how much it was 2 weeks ago? 14.
Yeah.
Exact same piece of chicken.
Did you hear how much the farmers are selling it for?
No.
Farmers sell it to Loblaws for just over, I think it's $3 a kilo.
And they're selling this at $13 a kilo and at $26.87 a kilo. Listen, I never thought when I was doing a podcast we'd be talking about the price of chicken.
Yeah.
But this is fucking hilarious to me. And you get like I don't understand.
I've got enough.
And I do understand supply and demand, but like, holy fuck, Galen Weston.
Kidding.
And grocery stores around this country are fucking Canadians. Like fucking Canadians.
Yeah.
I want to get the food professor on. This guy Sylvan, I can't remember his last name. He's like from Dalhousie University. He literally studies like supply chains, food, groceries. But again, I didn't want to talk about chicken or supply chains on this podcast, but it seems like we probably should, right? There's a lot of people out there going hungry because Galen Weston's like, someone's going to give me $40 for this shitty chicken.
No shit, though. It's like $10 a breast.
Yeah.
With tax.
That's what it comes down
gouging.
to.
It's gouging.
Yeah, fuck me.
Yeah. You know what, though? For me right now, I can't even do this. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I've got so many things. The imbalance in the world. My bag's full. I can't add the price of chicken to it.
Yeah.
Like I got enough to be angry about. Like it's just there's so many companies out there just screwing people, and they all have some reason. Oh my God. Every time the price of gas goes up before a long weekend, somebody's like always trying to defend it. It's not the company's bullshit. They're just they fuck you because they can. They know they can. And it's
look at what happened in the beginning of the pandemic here in Ontario. So Doug Ford went out on the offensive and said, I'm gonna crack down on anybody that's price gouging, people selling masks for $10 a piece, blah 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 blah. Yeah, we watched every single Loblaws chain, Shoppers Drug Mart, anything that's owned by Galen Weston exploded in profits, like literally tripled, quadrupled in profits every quarter. But that wasn't gouging, apparently. But the guy in the corner store who was trying to make a nut selling Lysol wipes for $10, you could call a number. They had a fucking phone number you could phone and rat that guy out, and the police would show up and issue him a ticket for trying to price gouge during a pandemic. But Galen Weston, it's no problem. Not a problem at all.
Fucking wild, dude.
Unbelievable in this.
There are so many ways.
Right in front of your face. It's happening in front of your fucking eyes. You can see it.
Yeah.
And they just don't care.
Ways you can sort of circumvent this shit too, right? Like if you do, I'm trying to. I'm the convenience guy. I want to go to one place. I want to get everything, and I want to go home. And I've been like that my whole life. And I don't look at prices when I shop, and I probably should. But I keep saying this out loud, and I'm saying it out loud for myself. But you do need to go out of your way to try to find, local options. For sure, you do. Those mom and pop shops, start supporting them. Those local butchers and local bakers.
Huge.
There's lots of farms. I was doing some but in the other part is I was doing some research today. It was funny because I was bringing it up. I'm like, how much is it to go to a farmer and say, I want to buy all this beef. I want to buy a whole bunch of chicken. Mm-hmm. And it's significantly cheaper, but most of them have raised their prices as well. And they've gotten into the game of sending you food at an exorbitantly high price. Like there's one, and I won't say the name, it doesn't matter. Signed up for this one service, and one of the farms is like, give us $200 and we'll send you 21 pounds of beef. And you're like, okay. And you buy 4 steaks, and it's like, okay, you've used your allotment. And you're like, I bought 4 steaks. It's $200, right?
Yeah.
You've used your allotment, $400, 4 steaks. Because the steaks are $50 a piece.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you got to do a little bit extra work. It's just like, and I'm not going to complain about it.
You do have to do more work. It's very
necessities of life. Yeah. They're not out for your best interest. So you're going to have to be a little more, curious when it comes to going shopping for chicken.
I had a buddy in town. He moved, but he was good at this. He was always buying like from the local farms and stuff like that. And man, we went over to his place for dinner a couple of times, and it's next level. Like the food, right? Like I remember we had steaks at his place, and the steaks were like size of my head, and they were just unbelievable. And he's like, got that the other day, right from the farm, right? And he drove out there on his own, and every year he would get a turkey too. He would order a turkey from the farm and meet the truck at just on the outskirts of town. And he's like, man, a lot of people do this. He said, there's like 100 people out there waiting for their turkeys, and they drive the refrigerator truck up, and obviously you had to order it, ahead of time, but yeah. There's options out there, just finding them and taking the time to do it. Right.
Yeah, it is. But it speaks again to what's happening and profit taking and cultures and class wars. And like Galen Weston doesn't give a fuck about you or me or anybody else. The guy's like, this is the same guy that bought all the drugstores that had no kids' tempura, that had no kids' medicine. The same guy, right? Yeah. And because he wouldn't sell products that belonged to other people that he didn't have a relationship with, where he got some of that back. Fucking wild. It's the supply chain, especially the necessities of life. It's almost like you're fucked. Doesn't matter, where you go or what you do. But Canada is specifically bad with food inflation prices that far outpace actual global inflation or national inflation rates, like by double. So There you go.
Yeah, like people were saying cans of. I was reading somebody was talking about they always make hummus, like homemade hummus, and you use cans of chickpeas for that, and they used to buy them for 99 cents. They're now $3 for a can of fucking peasant chickpeas. It's like, are you fucking kidding? I went shopping today, and it was at a Galen Weston fucking organization, because I got to hand it to them. They got good meat, but the chicken was on sale, and it was funny. It was almost like, did you guys just put this on sale today? Because of all the backlash.
You should have gone right up and just
I got 5 chicken breasts for $14. So
there you go. It's almost back to normal. And before we get to Caryma, she's going to come up in a couple minutes. We're going to talk a little bit about the Chris Sky trial. Locke, the other day we were talking about yoga, right? How much you love yoga. Big yoga fan. This is you getting really close to your wiener. Like, you're very flexible. You've been doing it for
10
what,
years.
10 years? 10
Yeah,
plus?
started when I was 41.
Right. Good
and
for you.
Like gradually, I got more and more involved in it. And I'm still doing I'm still doing it every day.
Are you really? Well, over
I kept it going.
Good for you.
You still putting the pictures up?
I was doing some. You should. I want to see some of that action. No. I want to see you do the downward dog.
I annoyed enough people.
Did you really?
Yeah, people were annoyed.
Were they really?
Yeah,
Stop.
Yeah.
What, when you post your yoga pictures for motivation and just to help other people? They got annoyed with you?
Well, there was a lot of people that were giving me support and feedback. Good for you, you know what? And you know, you're inspiring me. I've started doing it. There was a lot of that, but there was also, this needs to stop. I told you guys, I had one guy.
Definitely,
I wrote about it in the article. We all know him. You guys know who this is. He was angry. He sent me a long message. What is wrong with you? I have stopped following you on every platform because you're doing this. And I'm like, wow, okay.
Have a good year. Who sent that to you?
James.
No.
Is it James? Someone we work with?
I'll put it in the messages because I don't want to out him.
Is he fat? Is he out of shape? Is he lazy? Is he miserable? Is that why? I'm guessing it is. Every time you put up a picture of you doing yoga and doing something for yourself, it was just this like fucking mirror.
Yeah, angry.
No way.
He was angry.
Seriously?
Are you serious?
Yeah, he was mad. And I had that happened to me a couple of times. Dude, it's like, I'm not putting this up to turn you on awkwardly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and what would be wrong with that? I mean, listen, that's up to you. Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I had the name wrong.
Really?
Angry.
I think there might be some conflicted emotions there, maybe.
I'm guessing so. I wouldn't worry too much about it, though.
I moved on quite quickly. It didn't bother me.
Yeah, boy, you don't seem too frustrated by it.
I had a reason for putting the pictures up. It was for me. And I wasn't
tells you to stop. Fucking people are fucked in the head, aren't they?
I wasn't trying to turn this guy on, and if he was turned on accidentally and it bothered him, then he unfollowed me.
There you go. Everybody wins. There's
I
people
didn't think that was going to be an issue, right?
No, but dude, you're touching on something that is an issue for a lot of people because of this yoga trend, right? Like conspirituality, yoga, and unsurprisingly, specifically on TikTok, you can do the same thing on Twitter. If you search yoga, just yoga, that's it. You just got to type in yoga in the search bar, TikTok and Twitter specifically. You get all kinds of porn. And specifically yoga porn. And people are getting really fucking angry. I don't know why, but they're
yoga
getting
porn?
Yeah, very upset. One yoga master lady did a video about it, which kind of explains the whole thing. And we'll get into it in just a second, but it's a fascinating thing. It's like yoga instructors, real ones, are like, if you're trying to be sexy, this is not what the Dalai Lama wanted.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Type in yoga on this app. After this video, go search yoga on.
I have been screaming this at the top of my lungs for the past year, but it still amazes me how the algorithm allows this to be the spectacle of yoga. I guess that's what happens when an ancient, deep, meaningful spiritual practice that was intended for the purposes of our mental and emotional well-being becomes overly sexualized and heavily whitewashed. If you're looking for real, true, authentic yoga, then start practicing with yoga teachers like myself and go out of your way to support teachers who come from this practice, because a massive part of the problem here is representation. Without the voices of people from source culture, the practice remains inauthentic and diluted.
Now, as a yoga guy, I'm not a yoga guy, which is why I wanted to bring it up. How does that make you feel? Because a lot of people are pissed. Like, the New York Post put out an article about this. Sexualized yoga videos on TikTok slammed as pornographic should be illegal. Nothing there looks illegal to me, to be honest with you. But if you actually went and looked for yoga poses, this is kind of what would come up.
Kendra Lust scissors Riley Reid at yoga class. Yeah. I've seen that one.
There's a lot of yoga porn, like specifically. All right, I've seen them.
Hello.
Yeah. I mean, these are the things that come up on TikTok when she's doing quadriceps and hips flexibility. She's showing her boobs.
Yes, she sure
and her
is.
Vagina. And then this one, which is fascinating. This is another yoga thing when you type in yoga on TikTok. So you get a lot as a yoga guy, right?
Yeah. Yoga.
Is that lady who I would actually watch do yoga for the very same reason she's angry, by the way. The lady, and she's like, this is an ancient method. Is it an ancient method or should it be other things? Because sexualized yoga, I got to tell you, I would watch and take part in that class.
It has become, yoga's relatively new to North America, like in the grand scheme of things. And it has become, it's something very different in India, right? Where it originated. It probably has become a bit like the North American version of it, right? Where, you got, moms that drive the minivan going to classes on the weekend, right, with their girlfriends. And they're not into it from the spiritual side of it. And I can see how somebody that is very into that side of yoga, and that's part of it. You can find that if you want to. You can also find the classes with all the moms in it, right? The soccer van moms, right? But the thing for me is I don't care what you watch to get your crank off, right? We're a sexualized everyone. And if you, I've watched those videos of those YouTube videos of the girls stretching, right, in pants that you can pretty much see everything. I've stopped to have a peek.
Is that what you're calling
it? Doesn't make me angry because I'm into yoga.
Dude, I got to tell you something. I learned about yoga pants about 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I learned from a female. She's like, "Oh yeah, yoga pants are for people who don't do yoga because they change the shape of your ass." And I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, it's Lululemon. That's how they made it. They could change the shape of a woman's ass." And I'm like,
also founded by a man.
That's sexual, isn't it? And she's like, "Oh yeah, it's totally sexual. Yoga is very sexual." So when I'm reading this thing about sexualized yoga, I'm like, I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, right? I think that we've sexualized yoga for a long period of time. Like every time I have been to a yoga class, maybe it's a hot yoga class. Enjoy the hot yoga. Actually, I did it for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. Anytime you go to a hot yoga class, you're an idiot if there's an attractive woman in yoga pants and a halter top, and you're like,
you don't
look, this is not sexual. This is supposed to be about no. You fucking dude. It's like a car crash for me. I can't go to a yoga class and not check people out. It's ridiculous. Yeah. You're stupid if you think you can't. So every yoga class to me is a sexualized yoga class. Yeah,
they are amazing.
I'll tell you something. We have a rule in this house. We have a rule when it comes to finances, and one of those rules is I don't care how much she spends at Lululemon. That's your bet. That's your way you want to. No problem, honey. She gets a really cool discount because she works in healthcare. They have like this neat program for people like her because she's in rec therapy. So, and buy more, buy different colors.
To get me some. You know what's funny? My wife was making fun of me because we got a Lululemon gift card.
Yeah.
From the daughter. She gave mom and I a Lulu. She gave us a Lululemon gift card, and I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to go shopping." Because every time I go in that store, and she's like, "You're from Yak, and all you wear is t-shirts and jeans. And for years, I've heard you make fun of guys that wear Lululemon." And I said, "Yeah," but then I started wearing it.
Yeah,
and I was like, it's unbelievable. I really like the clothing at Lululemon. I really do. Mm-hmm. It's expensive though. So I've got shorts and shirts for doing yoga. But I should call Ashley.
I'm telling you, there, it's crazy.
Yeah, just tell her your size and just send her money, and she'll get you the cheap Lululemon stuff. Yeah, pretend you're a doctor.
What kind of a discount does she get? Like 15, 20%?
Don't you have doctor on your scene card?
I should pull that out.
Yeah, she gets they have this. If you shop online, don't go to the store. The store's a ripoff. Shop online and go to the clearance stuff first. You find the clearance stuff which is already marked down 30% or so, and then on top of that, they give her, I can't remember. She'll put it up in the comments. I'm sure what her actual percentage is. 25% off. That's on top of it. So she gets it at fucking dirt cheap prices. So call Ashley whenever you want to make an order, and she'll set you up.
Unless someone from Lululemon's watching this and they flag Ashley's order and they're like, no, can't do that.
I think that company is Canadian too. Isn't it?
Vancouver. It's a guy. It was founded by a guy, which is the best part about those pants. There's a great story. Like he was apparently a piece of shit. The guy that owns it.
Total pervert.
Didn't he get kicked out of Lululemon?
He did.
I think so, yeah.
The original
number
guy?
of years ago, yeah, just for being like a misogynistic prick. And I think one of the comments that did it was when one overweight lady was like, "You need to make pants for us," and he's like, "Maybe you should shop somewhere else."
No.
And they also made them so you could see through the pants.
Yeah.
There was a thing where you could actually see through, and they stretched, and they had to like re-engineer the pants because they realized they were onto it.
They were.
I do remember that there was a couple of pairs there that were like, you could see the whole backside there. Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with it, but apparently some people did. I don't know.
Remember that guy that had to take off to Mexico? He was a yoga teacher and he was in Los Angeles.
That's the guy. Yeah, we were talking about him the other day.
What was his name again? He turned out to be a creep, and
he did.
Most of them do. There's like the yoga business is
Bikram yoga. Bikram.
Yeah,
we talked
the Bikram
about him,
yoga guy. It was right around that time that they hauled out the Lululemon guy as well, I think. Yeah.
Realizing it was all just a big perv fest for men that were trying to
Dean's
capitalize
not
on
wrong. If you go to a class, my God, I mean, you'd have to be dead inside not to notice what's going on in there, right?
You can't, dude. It's like a car crash. Anytime I would see like a somewhat attractive female in Lululemon pants, I'm like, I gotta check it out. Like I and not like in a leering way, but like I'm a red-blooded Canadian male, right?
Yeah,
I'm a heterosexual man. If there's an attractive woman in Lululemon pants, I'm gonna check it out.
I'm looking. I mean, I do really do, and I'm not just saying this, but when I go to yoga, because it's all around you, I do my best to try to focus on what I'm doing because I am there to get exercise, and you don't want to be that guy that's sitting there going, right?
So the dude you're talking about, the Bikram yoga founder, his name's Bikram Chowdhury. He was trapped in Mexico after his passports and his fleet of cars were seized for sexually assaulting a whole bunch of women. Yeah. That was back in 2020.
There was a documentary out about him too. Yeah. Because he had a chain of yoga studios. There was one in Edmonton, and I remember right around the time that they still had the sign up, and then I drove by it again, and they had changed it to something. It was a Bikram thing, right? And he had people if you wanted to get into that group, you had to go down and hang out with him, right? If you wanted to get into that franchise, you had to go take his class, I think, or something like that.
Did you ever watch the videos of him?
Yeah.
Where he was screaming at people, calling them fucking worthless, and you're a fat loser, fuck you. And like he's yelling at women, like 40-something-year-old women who are just there trying to get fit. And he's screaming in their face, telling them they're suck at life, they're a piece of shit.
That's the Jordan Peterson method of wellness, actually.
He was a little bit shaped like a potato, too.
Yeah. He's just a fat fuck himself. He totally was. And speaking of which, before we get to Caryma, she's coming up. Did you see, dude, yesterday we go off on Jordan Peterson. He is getting murdered on social media, murdered in the news. He is going to lose his license. I just want to I'm going to play this for you, and then we'll get to Caryma. For everybody that is shitposted me, including some psychologist lady in the United States who's just gone ham on me. She's like, you know what you're talking about? He's a good guy. Jesus is Lord. I'm like, okay, now I know why you're so fucked. It's because you're a religious psychologist. For every person that says Jordan Peterson is here to help people, or he shouldn't lose his license, I'm going to play this for you. This is from a speech he did at some kind of Catholic church in Eastern Germany, like this summer. Watch this.
God is that which calls you to make the appropriate sacrifices and calls you on it when you don't. And try to escape that and see what happens. We know perfectly well, that that's a pathway to hell. And you might say, I don't believe in hell. And I would say, that means you don't know anything.
So
I've been telling you.
When you learn this, because I don't know.
Yeah.
When you go through school and you spend your 10, 12, whatever years to become a psychiatrist.
Not supposed to do any of that.
Psychologist.
Yeah.
When you become a psychologist.
Step below psychiatry.
You
you can't prescribe meds.
Yeah.
You can't get into religion.
You can't use it to hurt people. You can't use your ideology and tell people who are coming to you for mental help that they're going to hell if they don't believe in it. You just can't do it. It's an extreme abuse of his license. Not allowed to do it, specifically in the province of Ontario.
But what does it say specifically about being a psychologist?
It's an ethics thing. It's ethics. Yeah, it's ethics. It doesn't specifically say religion, but it says you cannot do harm to that person.
Yeah.
But imagine this was a guy. Imagine he was Islamic. Imagine the conversation that we would be having on Twitter right now if he followed Islam.
It would be snapping.
People would be losing their fucking money. They'd be burning his house down.
Yeah.
But because it's Jesus, oh well, that's his right.
Allowed.
He's a Christian.
He's a zealot. He's an extremist. That's all he is.
Is there hypocrisy in religion?
A bit.
There a little bit. Just
okay. This is all
especially in the West
for me.
Yeah, especially over here.
There she is, ladies and gentlemen.
Caryma.
Back by popular demand. Lawyer, advocate, journalist, Caryma Saad. Sorry, we were just playing that Jordan Peterson clip. He's you know what I like about him? Nothing.
I'm going to a Jordan Peterson protest sometime next week.
What are they protesting?
Yeah.
They're protesting outside the College of Psychologists. I guess against his recent decision, like disciplinary finding. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't think he's going to be there, but
he's not going. Or he said he's not going, which means he's probably going, right? It's because he just lies all the time. What do you make of it? Because you're a lawyer, good standing. Sadvocacy.com is where you can get a hold of Caryma, at Caryma Rules. You're a lawyer in good standing. You are accountable to the Law Society, right? As a lawyer, which means you have to adhere to a certain set of circumstances private citizens who are not lawyers don't have to adhere to, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing with the Ontario College of Physicians, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Same thing with psychologists in the Ontario College of Psychology, same thing, yeah?
Any regulated profession, exactly.
And why are these professions regulated? Why is your profession regulated? Why is his profession regulated? Why is the medical profession regulated?
I think the common theme there is that there's like a fiduciary duty between the professional who's practicing and their client. So there is a power imbalance that is inherent and inescapable. And so as a result, there are these extra rules to ensure that nobody is being taken advantage of. Now, of course, it doesn't always work that way, but the guidelines exist so that if there are issues, it can be flagged and either remedial steps can be taken to correct whatever the behavioral problem is, or it may result in that person no longer being able to practice with a license.
Good. Well, that makes sense to me. Why is he having such a problem with it then? Because if he signed a piece of paper when he became a psychologist that says, I'm accountable to this governing body for my career, my license, my reputation, my degrees, and I'm accountable to the rules, and I'm going to sign this piece of paper, right? You sign a piece of paper as a lawyer, as a psychologist, as a doctor, kind of, when you pass the bar or when you...
we have to sign the roles and then we swear an oath, but yeah.
Yeah. Explain that to me. Like, how because
so when we talk about speech, right, it gets a little bit murky, and even the concept of professionalism, it can and has been weaponized against people who don't typically fit that mold, whatever the mold is imagined to be. And so I've dealt with numerous Law Society complaints about comics, about comments I've made on this podcast, or actually, comments you made on this podcast. And I just happen to be sitting there.
Anything I've done?
Yeah, right.
But point being that, and I've not faced any, they've all been dismissed because.
And you keep coming back, huh? That's awesome.
I'm a masochist, obviously. So it's not always clear cut, right? And people are free to make complaints. And from the little I understand of the situation, it wasn't all clients or even any clients who lodged the complaints, and that's the same with me. And then it becomes a matter of assessing whether this conduct, is it free speech and someone is entitled to have and express their opinions, or is it unbecoming in some way? Is it harmful? And so these are amorphous concepts that shift over time. So, I would hesitate to say that you develop an understanding of what constitutes professionalism through experience and time and learning and observing others. And it's a bit of a give and go, right? In his case, I haven't seen the actual impugned tweets. All I've seen are his characterization of them, which, there's a lot of room to minimize and downplay. So I don't know what precise words were being criticized. The fact that they actually took action on this would suggest that it was in some way problematic and of concern, even if it's more broadly concern for the reputation of the profession. So until we actually see the tweets, that's it all turns on that. And the college, if I'm not mistaken, they won't release it for confidentiality reasons. So it's on him, and we're trusting him to tell us what they were upset about.
Not the guy I trust in this process. Locke, go ahead. Yeah.
So yesterday we talked about Jordan Peterson and the fact that this may have been like why did it take so long kind of a conversation? Because clearly, if you pay any attention to him on social media, he has kind of been off the rails for the last couple of years at least, right? And that if there was an issue, I'm guessing they probably would have been aware of it. So now, why now? Or do you think maybe we're just learning about it because he's using it as a promotional tool or for his upcoming gigs? Do you think he's been in trouble with the board before?
There's so many moving parts, and yeah. I don't know enough about that particular institution to say whether, they publish disciplinary history, whether maybe it was private up to this point because it didn't need to go to a panel. I'm not sure. And the timing, is somewhat convenient in that he can piggyback, an op-ed on this subject and just kind of frame it to his advantage. So we can't ignore that, I suppose. That it's been going on for so long, and why hasn't anyone done anything? It could be a matter of complaints taking time, other things being prioritized, right? Because they would deal with all sorts of complaints, and there are some, especially where it's from a client, that are maybe more egregious or need to be handled imminently. So I don't have any of these answers, basically, is my response.
Yeah, you haven't seen the offending tweets or the ones that really bothered the college. You don't know about the, and by the way, it's hundreds of complaints, not a dozen. You don't know what's in the complaint, so you can't speak to it. I'm just trying to figure out process, because to me, I've watched over the past few days, until Lachlan's point, that was a great question. It's a great point, Sir Locke, is that he's using this as a catalyst for something else, right? Like, so, and the other part that I've noticed is that he's putting himself above the entire process, right? Like,
for sure.
At some point, you have to be accountable as a professional who has signed a piece of paper not to do any damage because you're the high priest of psychology, psychiatry. You're the high priest of lawyerhood. You're the high priest. Like, you have information that is really hard to get, that takes a long period of time to get, to help other people, and you've decided that you don't want to do that. What you'd rather do is go and stand somewhere in an Eastern European Orthodox church scare the shit out of people. That's not psychology. Let's
The
watch
background
this
music
again.
was great.
God.
Isn't it?
God is that which calls you to make the appropriate sacrifices and calls you on it when you don't. And try to escape that and see what happens. We know perfectly well, that that's a pathway to hell. And you might say, I don't believe in hell. And I would say, that means you don't know anything.
Yeah, see, that's not allowed in psychology at all, right? Like, and here's the other thing: if that guy is peddling religion, what an angry fuck! Like, I wouldn't like if that somebody came to me, he's like, "I got a better way for you to live, and you better do." I'd be like, "Dude, take it down a notch. You're not selling this right. You're a terrible fucking sales guy." He's admonishing people, and if that's what his religion, Orthodox Russian Orthodox Christianity, if that's what he's peddling, which we know he is, right? As a psychologist who's trained to help people out of depression, PTSD, first episode anxiety, all that stuff, who's supposed to diagnose and help people, he hasn't seen anybody for 5 years because he's fucked, because no one will go see him because he does shit like that. And so the college is like, hey, listen, you put out a couple tweets like one last year where some guy said you were a quack and you told him to go leave this earth, which is basically go kill yourself. You made fun of like sex change surgeries and you called people woke moralist and up yours and stuff. That is not someone who's out to help people, right? And when you sign a piece of paper as a psychologist, psychiatrist, my understanding from my psychiatrist is you sign this thing and says, we're not going to abuse the privilege of the education that we have to hurt other people or to get personal gain. That's exactly what it says. And that's all he does.
That's all he does. Yeah. By the way, just to one of your points about not knowing the answer to a question, Caryma, feel free to make shit up. We do all the time.
Every day.
Yeah.
We gotta fill time.
Speaking of making shit up, I'm following you live tweeting the Chris Sky, I'm gonna kill Doug Ford trial. Yeah, he's back.
His trial is finally happening now.
Is he physically there?
He's physically there.
Oh, we miss him in Alberta.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? What the fuck is going on? What is this trial about? And I'll get to some of your tweets, but like, it must be nice to see him again, huh? After he moved to Mexico to make questionable pornography.
Well, nice is a big word. But you know, there's something familiar about this situation.
It's the most polite answer I've ever heard.
Did you see some of the comics Caryma's putting out over the past couple of days? Look at this one. Like, him going to court. Excuse me, sir, do you have a moment? No autographs, please. Him and this dude named Rob Carbone. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's
and those
so
are,
good.
The last two are from 2021. So that was as this was unfolding, and now we are at the apex.
And you can use that stuff again.
Yeah, they recycle so well.
Yeah. What's happening? Started yesterday, tried to get you on. It just didn't work out. You're here today because the trial got adjourned because someone's wife had an episode. What's going like? It's been a clown show. Your tweets are the best, by the way.
Thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying.
Yeah, your threads are amazing.
So there's a couple of charges. First is whether death threats were uttered towards a private citizen, as well as Doug Ford, as well as all of the premiers in Ontario, all of the premiers in Canada. And then there's a question of whether or not he tried to use his car as a weapon to run over a police officer. So far,
I remember that.
Yeah, so far we've only dealt with the uttering threats part. We actually left off in the middle of cross-examination yesterday. And normally you would expect to continue cross-examination as soon as possible the following day. But there was a family emergency that was described and court adjourned for the day. So we're anticipating it resumes tomorrow. But obviously there are variables that are outside of anyone's control. And the courtroom, you know, it's at College Park, so it's not a particularly fancy courtroom. But there have been people there in support or just observing what's going on. So it's been entertaining.
Support of Chris Sky?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. He's got an army of people that love him still. He does. Like let's have a look at this army of people. See what kind of individuals we got going here. King Nico's a big fan.
Sorry. Okay.
King Nico did this sweet Photoshop of Chris Sky like it was fucking CSI Miami. And so he's a big fan. This King Nico guy who you tweeted about. Who's he? Who's King Nico? What is?
Yeah.
King Nico, you might recognize. He used to be sort of Chris Sky's unofficial photographer and bag carrier, and then he's been working out his own brand and
garbage bag carrier, bag carrier.
The receptacles were what they were. But if you remember at the Oakville High School, he was one of the organizers. And then at a couple of the recent drag story time or brunches, again, he has emerged. So, he has his own little niche. He's into the flat earth stuff.
He was handing out free merch to like the high school kids at Oakville. That's right.
That's the guy.
Because that's
he
not
has a Mercedes with a personal, like his Mercedes license plate is Nico. And then he has a flag that with his face on it that he will sometimes drive with. So, just sort of it's
Let me just
of a feather,
some
right?
of these merch ideas down.
I just pumped in King Nico into my search bar on Twitter. I'm not joking. Go ahead and do it. Try it.
Okay.
There's so much gay porn that shows up when you type in the name King Nico. I'm not even kidding. You know how the yoga algorithm is like a bunch of nerds going, hey, let's type in this thing in the algorithm and the code where like anytime someone puts yoga in the Twitter or TikTok search bar, only pictures of naked women show up. Same thing with King Nico, apparently. Maybe some of those guys are having fun with him
I have
too.
a very similar problem with the locker room.
Yeah, I know you do. And the other one I love when people do is when every time Jerry Butts, our current prime minister's former right-hand guy, anytime his last name trends, it is a fantastic journey of hardcore porn on Twitter. It's like you type it in, it's like, let's just go down the timeline, and some of it actually disturbs me. And I've seen beheadings. I mean, Jesus,
I've seen beheadings.
Yeah, there's some awful porn on there.
Oh, it's weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
Like, did I need that in my day? I don't.
And I'm
think
like,
so.
this gotta like be a terms of service issue.
I hope you're seeing a doctor on a regular basis too, guys.
I saw a video Caryma put out yesterday at the courtroom or at the courthouse with that guy from that weird Tupac church in Ottawa. He's there too.
He was there yesterday. I didn't see him today. William Comer, because they are now setting shop in Toronto and everywhere. It sounds like I didn't interview with him after.
Did you really? Why didn't you tell me?
Oh, I don't know. Did we talk? I don't know. Oh, I haven't put it up yet because I haven't put subtitles. But I asked about the $50,000 judgment, and he's like, "Well, we don't owe it because we're appealing." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Is that how that works?
Which is, technically true, but
yeah.
So they have whatever their stuff is going on. It sounds very much like a cult. But
so how's Chris? Has he seen you? And how's he looking? Did he fly in from Mexico for this? Like, is his wife with him?
Yeah. So Chris and Jenny are both there. It is impossible to miss one another. It is not a big space. But there's been no issues. I'm respectful actually of the fact that it's not fun to be on trial for criminal offenses. So I'm not never there to agitate, but I'm really just kind of keeping.
What could happen to him, Caryma?
Safe berth.
What are the charges he's facing? Yeah, what are the charges
the
he's
maximum
facing?
penalty for uttering threats is, I think, 2 years less a day jail time and/or a $5,000 fine. I forget I would imagine the other charge is a similar because we're at the provincial court level. So, the Crown dealt with it kind of in a summary way rather than as an indictable offense. So bottom line being, this jeopardy is not that high, especially given sort of the evidence so far. I don't know what we're going to hear from officers tomorrow if in fact they do testify. And and we probably won't get a judgment immediately after. There'll be some delay, and we'll have to go back to court.
But the charge is that he verbally threatened to murder the premier of this province, a guy named Doug Ford. And the guy who was on the stand yesterday, and I think it's public knowledge, right? Guy named Rob Carbone, his old friend, him and this guy were going to come up and make the Republican Party of Canada. Remember that a couple of years ago? You're like, okay, you fucking weirdo, go ahead. And his testimony was hilarious yesterday to me, and I followed a whole bunch of different threads, including yours. His testimony was that he and Chris were in cahoots until they weren't. And this Rob Carbone guy, who to me, from everything I've known, nothing from you, but to me, this guy's just another grifter like Chris is. And it's like the battle of the grifters in court, right? So sort of like watching the GOP melt down in the United States. We're watching these grifters kind of melt down and go after each other. So there's that part of it. But there's legitimate, like he got arrested for trying to allegedly run police officers over with his car at his house at one point. So like as you're wading through not just witness testimony, do you see this being a big trial, or just like this is just a matter of process and who knows? I mean, fuck.
I mean, in the spectrum of trials, this one is more on the bizarre end. And their theory, which was stated in court today, is that the car officer situation was the result of an unmarked vehicle with, police officers who weren't in uniform. So he thought he was being abducted or something along those lines. So we'll see how that evidence actually comes out, and if there's video, and there are defenses obviously that exist to this. And in order to be convicted on uttering threats, there are elements that need to be met. Figuring out precisely what was said and when, and the subjective intent of the speaker, as well as objectively, how would that be taken? So we're gonna, when we get to final submissions, that will all be put together from both the prosecutor and defense point of view, and then we'll have a better sense. As the evidence comes out, it's piecemeal, because the prosecutor and defense counsel, they know their case inside out, presumably. But for the rest of us, we've had media clips here and there, whatever Chris Sky has said on his own channel. But that, on we're not working with all the information. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Remember when he was on the podcast with us a couple of years
times.
ago? It was a year and a half ago. We have a clip of it, I believe.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe one of my favorite moments from this podcast. And it was the day that we introduced Chris Sky to the world, where he then went ham and became like a really shitty T-shirt salesman and had to move to Mexico to run from the law with a whole bunch of money to make questionable pornography. However, that's just my. That's, by the way, that's my.
Oh yeah. What's the deal with the porn? Is it what?
Oh, that's what he's doing in Mexico. Oh, dude, I've seen all kinds of information on it. Oh yeah. I know people. They tell me.
I'm on an info diet.
Yeah, he's making like threesomes. He's down there living the life with all that T-shirt money. I mean, you don't sell T-shirts out of plastic bags for 2 years for nothing, right? Anyway, do you remember when we had him on and I was wearing a tinfoil hat? Do you remember that episode? Yeah. Let's play it. This is what I think.
Okay, death from heart attack with COVID, and then they call you a COVID death. If you look at any of the so-called COVID death charts, they have a little asterisk on there. And when you look at what the asterisk has said, it says includes deaths with COVID, which are not real COVID deaths. And that's why you have a country like China that shows only like 6,000 COVID deaths, when you have a country like the US that has like close to 1 million COVID deaths. And it's because of the way they're classifying the COVID deaths.
Okay.
And if you saw China beat COVID...
Okay, we can't see the video, so we're gonna have to play it one more time. Yeah, I don't think it's quite loaded.
Oh, maybe that's.
Dude, put it in the.
I'll put it in the clips. Yeah,
put it in the clips, and we'll play it again.
Audio only just has an impact as well.
Oh my god, my hands
got
sweaty just listening to that guy's voice. I was like, ooh. You know when you walk into a room like that's really messy, or you show up to someone's house who's a hoarder? Same feeling. It's like this sweaty hands where you're like, that's not for me. I don't like this. Is this it? No, that's Slap Fight. Is it in there yet?
It's still loading.
Is it still loading? Okay.
Yeah.
But you got to see it. And it was funny because we did this like listener appreciation thing I think it was just after Christmas, where we had a bunch of people from the comments section, lots and lots of people, and someone was bringing up their favorite moments from the show, and I totally forgot about this. Like, I completely blanked out. I'm like, there's no way that we were that funny, but it turns out we were.
And you know what's bizarre about it too, was we were in the green room before we went live chatting with him, and it was very amicable, and it was like there was this sort of back and forth. As soon as you hit the live button, it was like adding like it was instant asshole. Boom. Yeah. And he just took off and tried to completely sabotage the whole thing. I'm sure it was his motivation, right? And then we were supposed to be mediating it or whatever. Like, there was a conversation about that behind the scenes. It was like, okay, we want to actually have this conversation with you, Chris Sky, blah, blah, blah. And right, James is going to be the mediator, and we're going to try to actually get some questions in, because we do want to hear your side, blah, 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 right? But yeah, as soon as we went live, it was just out of hand, like complete chaos.
Yeah. He was actually kind of like charming to talk to, like in prior to the show. We had him on for like 10 minutes. He was kind of normal. We're like, hey, we're going to talk about this. He's like, yeah, no problem. Sure, it sounds great. And then, like, well, we saw. He just flipped the switch. He just, like, you went completely, as Lachlan points out, manic. And that's a lot of these guys, because it's an act, right? Like, everything's an act. It's a grift. It's a show. And the same way that, like, when you're sick and you're not feeling well and you're a radio guy or you're a TV person, how you got to, fucking sack up. And
you're hungover.
This is me. I'm on. Or you're locked. Or you're hungover. Whatever the situation is.
For example.
Anyway, here's the video. If you remember, we've been mocking him for 2 years. Let's have a watch. This is good.
Okay, death from heart attack with COVID, and then they call you a COVID death. If you look at any of the so-called COVID death charts, they have a little asterisk on there. And when you look at what the asterisk has said, it says includes deaths with COVID, which are not real COVID deaths. And that's why you have a country like China that shows only like 6,000 COVID deaths, when you have a country like the US that has like close to 1 million COVID deaths. And it's because of the way they're classifying the COVID deaths.
Okay.
And if you saw
Chris,
China beat COVID without any masks.
Hold on.
There we go. I'm glad we got the video worked out for that. That was very funny. I will say this. I don't think Dean was helping the situation by throwing the tinfoil hat on.
I can't, dude.
So
you know what all these guys are to me?
There was never going to be a reasonable dialogue.
No, I knew that. That's why I had the hat on. And I wanted to protect myself from gamma rays.
Yeah.
Or something.
Was that the same with you, Caryma? If you ever had like a side conversation with Chris, was he like away from cameras, away from other people? Did he seem normal in those interactions as opposed to in front of a crowd? Like,
I haven't talked much to him really at all off camera or privately. But in observing how he talks with some of his fans or supporters, he's capable of conversing. But he does have the persona, right? And
so
if he's live or there's a crowd watching, he leans into that persona, and his appearances on here, because if you recall, there was a time where his Wi-Fi was shoddy, and so he just got his piece in and then dipped out because we couldn't hear him. Like that's why
that's what people do when they don't want to be accountable too, by the way.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to sort of sit with him face to face last year, because I had been a part of a couple of shows where he derailed it, and it's a lot easier to derail something virtually than in person. So he's not. It's an act.
You wanted to have him in that. You were going to do like a live Q&A in Chinatown, right?
Yeah, just on the hot seat. Not a debate, not a real conversation. Just let's
find out what you really believe, you crazy fucker. Yeah, that's why we had him on the podcast. By the way, no one's chased me around for having him on the podcast 3 times. You didn't even get to interview him. People are still harassing you 2 years later.
Yeah, weird.
But you're taking care of it, which I love. Love watching it. Fully support you.
Speaking of that harassment, Caryma, thank you for jumping on board for the February 23rd, the Pink Shirt Day discussion. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're going to have fun. We're going to talk about your online harassment, the bullying that's been happening with you. And it doesn't stop. How's that going? You feeling all right? You getting through it?
Yeah, we're good. It's just now a part of life. Yeah, I desensitized, I don't know, because I'm not sure that one can ever be fully desensitized to that. But I take it in stride. And, you are a model for desensitization. So I do aspire to that level. But otherwise, it's just you keep on keeping on, right?
I see Caryma's point too. Like it's different when somebody's yelling at you on Twitter or whatever. And Dean, you have gone through some shit, but like when Caryma shows up at her office and there's paraphernalia sitting in her lobby waiting for her from these crackheads. Pardon the term, but they're cracked.
It's your
in the
term,
head.
not hers. She didn't say it.
Yeah, okay. That's what I'm saying. They're cracked in the head. There's something wrong. There's something broken in it where they just can't
I say
let
fuck
go.
faces all the time, and she just laughs. She's like, "Oh, Dean, you just don't stop it." Yeah,
So that part, I don't think. I think I agree with Caryma. I don't think you can desensitize from that because that's a physical sign of that touching you now, rather than just being a bunch of online keyboard warriors, right?
When it shows up on your doorstep, it takes another level of anxiousness, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I've been a proponent of and I will say it out loud. If you're uncomfortable with some exchange you're having with somebody online, do not, because we've also, for some reason, it's part of this makeup of this online world now where it's like, oh, you know what? Don't block them. Just mute. Fuck that. Block them. Just block them. Get them out of your life, and don't feel bad whatsoever about hurting anyone's feelings. If you're in a situation where you're seeing stuff that's not making your day better for whatever reason, doesn't even matter. It doesn't even need to be, confrontational. It just if you feel like it's not actually helping you be a better person, block them. Boom, done.
Yeah.
It's really easy. Takes a couple of steps, and then just move on. Move on.
On that, Caryma, have you thought about just blocking everybody?
That's never occurred to me. Oh my god, the solution is here right in front of my eyes. Holy.
We've had this conversation, I don't know how many times. Should you block people? Should you not block people? And we've gone back and forth with it. And again, I just think we're at a point in the world that we live in is you can't control a lot of, like, there are people out there that just, they wake up, they're in a bad mood. And I've literally had people run into me. I was at the Big Sugar concert, and a guy came up to me. Hey, Locke. I'm like, how you doing? Did you enjoy the show? I didn't recognize him. Didn't know who he was. And he's like, yeah, it was good. It was good. He goes, you blocked me on Twitter. And I said, well, you're probably being an asshole. He went, yeah, I was being an asshole.
Yeah. That's awesome.
When Twitter becomes real life and some guy comes up to you and he's like, hey, dude, I had that like last week. 4 people were like, hey, this is really annoying. I really want to see your stuff. Sorry if I was an asshole. Can you unblock me? And like every week I get 3 or 4 of those. And I'm like, give me 3 reasons why. That's all I say. It's like, and they do. They're like, 1, I'm a dad and I made a mistake. 2, really like your content. I was just trying to be cool.
Homework.
I do. Every single person. And I'm like, okay, let's jump through one more hoop. Give me your email address. And they all do. They give me their email addresses. And I'm like, okay, now I got your email address. Now I'll unblock you. Have a great day. And it's the best because, like, your Twitter feed isn't for people to fuck around in. And I watched you go through it. I support you. I know you. You've been called racist, a plant for white supremacy. You've had to take matters into your hands legally. Again, fully support you. But I will say this, is that for every 50,000 tweets that people lob at you, you answer one at a time. No, that's not true. See you in court. No, that's not true. You should take that down. And you know, the amazing thing to me is, specifically watching you go through this over the past couple of weeks, is how you've turned into me.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Like,
It is.
I'll email you after like I see this. Like last week, you got this. There's this unbelievable day that you had on Twitter. It's been like 3-4 weeks. You trend almost every day because of the harassment that you get. And I called her one night, gentlemen. I called Caryma one night. And I'm like, how you doing? She goes, 7.5 out of 10, actually. And I'm like, well, fuck, she's getting it. This has nothing to do with her. This has everything to do with them and their psychopathy, and they can't stop. And you shouldn't have to care. And that, dude, block people, mute people. I do all of it because I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's a privilege to communicate with Caryma. It's a privilege to experience this content. And if you're going to be a dick about it, we're not going to let you look at it. That's just the way that life works. And here's the other thing. We will follow you to the end of the earth, right? That's what Caryma's doing because she will end this harassment on her own because she's a powerful woman. She's a smart woman. She's a decent human being who does the right thing because she knows it's the right thing. You people out there harassing her, you do things for yourself, for clout, and you're going to lose. You're losing now. All of you. All of you. I don't care the color of your skin or the cut of your jib. Doesn't matter to me. If you're an asshole who's been harassing Caryma, I can tell you this, and I've known this powerful human being for 2 years, you're going to lose. And I'm going to watch it, and we're going to have fun doing it. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks,
said. Anytime.
I'll keep you updated tomorrow on the shenanigans. We'll see what happens.
Or not. I don't care. Listen.
I'll be following your Twitter. It'll be great.
I really don't. Like I've tuned out Chris Guy a long time ago. He sent me about 1 billion emails over the past couple of years. I'm like, I don't care. So
he's trying to get back on, right? Because I was going to mention that. I have not seen anything, like nothing, nada from him. No one reports on him anymore. The mainstream. It's boring. It's
boring.
over.
We know what he is. We know what all these people are. Like, that's the thing. That's why I wonder why, like, Caryma and I were talking a couple weeks ago. I'm like, another protest? It's over. It's fucking boring. She's like, I don't know. So I like some of them. They're cute. I'm like, all right, whatever.
And the only reason why I'm interested now is it's the reckoning. It's time to pay the piper. You're here to answer for the things that you've done, and I want to see that. And if you've been treated fairly, good for you. If you haven't been treated fairly, you're going to have somebody like Caryma who will report that, even though you think that, everybody thinks that that's the arch enemies. It's not. She's just there reporting facts. That's all she does. She just gives us the facts. It's great. I love it. I can't wait.
And from that, you know what I've gotten from that? You somehow hate black girls. I don't know how.
Why do you hate? Yeah.
And brown people and white.
Brown people.
You're
Jewish people, indigenous people, Asian people.
Yeah. You need
everyone. I just hate everyone.
Self-hating. I heard a few. It's like just.
Oh yeah, you hate yourself too.
No, I'm white, so it doesn't matter.
Are you? Is that what they think you're white? They think you're like a white person in a brown person's body. Is that correct?
This is a skin suit.
We've rubbed off brown.
Suit.
Lizard people.
Brown. Yeah. Do you get a lot of heat for hanging around with these three white guys?
Three white men. You're clearly white now, Caryma.
Yeah, you're all my sycophants, and this is just
we're your proxies.
People are idiots.
See you guys at the meeting next week.
You betcha. Don't forget the hoods. Thanks, Caryma. Great to see you. We'll talk to you soon. Caryma Saad, ladies and gentlemen. At Caryma Rules on Twitter is where you can find her. What a hero she is.
You know what? As soon as I see her, I'm like, I want to make her laugh. Because her laugh just, I don't know what it does. It just
lights up.
It lightens my heart. As soon as I hear that signature Caryma, I just because it's so for real, right?
Well, she's hard to make laugh too, unless you're on the phone with her at 11 o'clock and you both had an edible or maybe smoked a bowl. She's like very hard to make laugh.
Yeah, she's
smartest person I know. No offense.
Great. She'd be great at poker.
She would be. Yeah.
I
can't believe. Face. Are you calling me dumb, Dean?
No, but I will say this. I appreciated your pregame today.
What was my pregame? Oh, yeah. Have you guys had that before?
That's why we were late, by the way, everybody. Yeah. This wasn't Dean this time.
Well, I didn't mind because he just did my work for me. I didn't have to.
Liquor 43. Oh, so good in coffee.
Was it good?
What's it called?
Yeah. Liquor 43. My daughter showed up with it. She doesn't shy away from different types of boozes, right? So whenever Christmas comes around, it's always interesting. She'll introduce us to, well, she works in the restaurant industry, right, as well. That's how she's paid her way through school and everything like that. I think it's Spanish or Portugal. I don't know anything about it.
Or a whiskey or
this year.
What is that?
It's a liqueur. It has a vanilla kind of like just, but not overwhelming at all. Like
I have a question for you too. Is you're a 52-year-old man, correct?
Yeah.
What's with the shot glass?
Well, I have learned that I'm not good at free pouring. Because quite often what I will do is I will, because I have OCD, I will go, well, hold on. We got to even that off a bit.
So why you couldn't pour it in the glass? You needed to pour it in the shade.
It's not the shakes. It was a little tough. Tuesday morning, we went back to work on Tuesday morning, and I got up. And I mean, we only had like 10 days off during the holiday season. But I'm making my coffee at 4:00 in the morning downstairs.
Put some Baileys in it.
I didn't put any booze in it, but I remember I'm in the car and I'm tasting my coffee and I'm like, this just doesn't taste the same.
Why do I drink this?
It's so much better with liquor in it.
A friend of mine's a teacher, and he was just like liquored through the holidays, like hammered. And he's like, I'm like, how's your first day? Are you excited to get back to work? And he's like, not really. I go, why? He goes, well, I like that first day back with no Baileys in my coffee is fucking hard. And I'm like, do you ever go to school with Baileys in your coffee? He goes, I'm not talking about this anymore.
What are you, a cop?
I'm like, dude, if I was a teacher, I'd have to go to school with like a half sack of Baileys every day just for my coffee, just to be able to deal with it.
No shit, though.
Anyway, good for you. I'm glad you made it today. It doesn't matter. I'm glad you made it. Glad you're here. You had a liquor 43 in your coffee. You were late for us.
You know what though? I to be honest with you, I this week I'm the afternoons I'm crashing, and I've had a quick little nap before we do the podcast, and so my alarm went. And I got up and threw my pants on, and it was I just kind of slept through. I hit the snooze button to get another 9 minutes or whatever the hell. So. I apologize for being late. I wanted something to snap me out of it.
I have the solution.
We're good.
Just do what I did. I quit my job today. I'll be sleeping in tomorrow. You're going to get all the sleep you want. Thank you. I'm now officially unemployed.
Yeah, but you're leaving for another gig.
Yeah, next week. But for the next 5 days, I am officially unemployed for the first time in 25 years.
They walk you out of the building, is that why?
No, we had it was a very nice day.
Amicable.
It was very, very sweet. Yeah. I resigned. I wasn't fired. I resigned. So I was
good for you.
I was given a nice send off. Yeah, apparently they were having lunch, like doing like a catered lunch thing, and I didn't show up for that. It just
for you?
Early. Yeah.
They had your going away party. You weren't even there.
I Irish exited. I Irish exited my own fucking lunch party. So I don't even know what they had.
Must have been good.
Yeah, it was. So it's good. So yeah, new beginnings. It's lots of fun. Gonna have a bit of a culture change and a bit of a time shift thing for me. So we'll see what that means for me here. But it will give me a little more time to focus on even back end stuff here, which is kind of what I was aiming for. So
my back end or Lachlan's back end?
Both same time.
I got that mole on my taint. I got that mole on my taint. I need
nice
someone to look at.
Yeah, lots of yoga, and I'm gonna get him into those pants. This is all self-serving. It's great. Yeah,
you should. Anyway, congratulations, big life change. Good for you, Linz.
Thanks, man.
It's awesome. Yeah,
good for you.
Enjoy being unemployed. I've been basically unemployed for 5 years. It's the best.
You know what?
In tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
I started working when I was 12. My mom sat me down and she's like, you don't come from money, son. And if you want things like a car and, booze and that kind of stuff, you're going to have to pay for it yourself. So I started working at 12. I have had a job every day except one day. I got fired, but I had an interview the next day and got hired on the spot. And then, so I got fired on a Wednesday, had a meeting at a Tim Hortons here in St. Albert. And then on the Friday morning, I was working.
Wow.
So I have literally been unemployed my entire life without a job for one day.
I think I'm kind of like you when it comes to that. I'm a stability. Like I don't get nervous about anything. I'm a pretty chill guy. But when it comes to jobs, I can't do sales because I cannot not know what I'm making. Like I need to know what is in that deposit every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have to know. I can't rely on commissions. I can't rely on even though I could probably pull it off. I am a stability magnet. Like I have to be. Everything else, I don't give a shit. But when it comes to that, I need to know. So I've been the same way since I was a kid. I was raised by a single mom. You wanted something, you fucking go out and get it yourself. Because mom can't pay for it. She'll do what she can, but you want something, you're going to have to go out and get it. So
that's the thing that happened to me, I think.
Same here.
Work ethic wise, right?
Work between my mom worked 6 days a week up until the time that she was diagnosed with cancer and died like 6 months later. She worked every day, right? So the work ethic and the way that I treat the dad that I became, you know what I mean, and the way I treat women, I think is all thanks to my mom, and I to the day I die will always thank her for what she gave me in those gifts in that sense.
I had a heart to heart with
nice
the
to
daughter.
hear you say nice things. It's nice to hear you talk like that, Ryan. It's really nice. And I as well came from a hard background where my parents were super rich. It's difficult. Anyway.
I had a heart to heart with my daughter, Bluebird Riley, the dancer, who's now teaching in Vancouver. We went for a long walk with the dog when she was back for holidays, and
nice.
They ask about, they're 22 and 24 now, so they occasionally they'll be curious because they don't know my family well, but she's in Vancouver. And my mom is actually making quite an effort, and she sees her on a regular basis. So she's asking questions. She's like, I'm learning this, and I didn't know this, and da 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 da. And so the daughter asked if I was okay with how I was raised, and I'm like, absolutely. I said, you become aware of who you are and how your upbringing impacted the type of person you are when you get a little bit older, right? When you become a little bit more self-aware. And I would not be who I am without what I went through. And I had a bit of a crazy upbringing, if we're being fucking honest. And so did my daughter. And my daughter's at that point right now where she's realizing she's now teaching kids to dance, and she's really thinking a lot about what she went through at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet and how she wants to actually impact and change the way dance is brought to kids, right? So that, and she had a pretty tough go of it, right? Ballet is not easy. And there's this sort of mentality within the structure of that, of teaching it that I think has a serious impact on kids, women's mental health, honestly. And so my daughter is sort of said the same thing to me. She goes, you know what? I'm actually really proud of what I went through, and that I've come out on the other side of it. And I am who I am because of how I was raised. We sent her away. She was 12.
Yeah.
Wow. We sent her to Winnipeg to live by herself and grow up in the dance world. Right?
What people don't know is that she didn't get billeted. She had to get her own apartment. Locke made her pay for that, made her pay her phone bill, 12 years old. She had to get a job at the 7-Eleven.
No, she lived in residence at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet.
Days without food.
Until they get to a certain age, and then they kick them out, right? And then we got her an apartment in Winnipeg and everything like that.
Yeah, dude. I'll tell you something, and this is the truth. I think it's the truth. Is that because I went to a boarding and Christian high school. I won't get into the details. Boarding school, same thing. And I tell people stories, and they're like, "That sounds like a nightmare." I'm like, actually, I really appreciate it. Not the religious shit, but I appreciate it now because of what I know. When you look back and you can see things from a different perspective because you've got that foundation under you.
That's right.
Where you struggled. Maybe you had to figure some things out on your own. The hardest things that we go through are supposed to be there so you can learn from them. So when you get to a certain age, you're like, oh, I know how to do this, because you learn to respond to tough things. And if you don't know how to do it, you will never get better at it. It's like working out. It's like reading. It's like all of those things. Failure, perception of failure is a joke. You know what we have in this life? We have experiences we go through where we fall down, we get back up. We fall down, we get back up. But once we get up, we learn how to keep getting up, right? As human beings. And if you take that opportunity for your kids to not fall down away from them, you're a terrible fucking parent.
Yep.
You have to let them fail.
Oh my God.
You have to let them go through it because your daughter this Christmas delivered you the gift of a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
That gift was, I am so grateful for the way I brought up because it taught me to be this confident, smart, problem-solving, happy person today.
Yeah.
Well, and she's starting to realize the way she is and the things that she's dealing with right now. She's starting to realize why, right? And she's starting to look back and she's starting to go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I am this way. I'm a little bit, I'm tough on myself because of these things, right? So I'm impressed because I think I was in my 40s before I became self-aware. So I just stayed angry and drunk for 25 years plus.
You'll fall. You'll fall, and you should like you say, you're right. Let them fall, but be there to help them get back up, obviously. And if they know that they have you there, they're going to take those chances and they're going to try things. Yeah. I didn't have a dad. I was 7 years old when my dad walked out, and to this day, I grew up grew up mad about that. You guys are now, and now
very similar.
Yeah, and now if people always say, like, what would you say to your dad? I'd say I would thank him for making me a better dad, because I would never ever want my daughter to feel what I felt growing up without a dad.
Yeah.
So I make sure that I will never be that. So you know what? I owe him that, and that's all I owe him. But that's what I owe him.
Yeah.
And it's age thing. It's when they get to that age, and you get to that age. My daughter's now still 15, 16 this year. So she's kind of going through the motions of figuring out how things work. You know, you shield them when they're young from certain aspects and certain facts. And as they get older, they start to see it with their own eyes, and okay, now you understand. Okay, you get it. You get what happened here. You get why things are this way. And then by the time they hit around, like you say, your daughter's age, they're like, oh, fuck, I get it. Thanks.
Yeah,
it's nice. Yeah.
I learned how to get on top of a problem by going through the problem and having some good advice and having a parent say, it's okay, you can do this, right? Yep. You can do it. You don't need my help. You can go through it. You fell down doesn't mean you failed, right? None of those things. It just means that you're going to learn from this experience and you're going to be stronger, better each time. It's fucking working out. That's what life gives us. Listen, the obstacle, and I'm going to say this because I'm going to steal it from an author named Ryan Holiday, who I read a lot of, and I listen to his podcast called The Daily Stoic. And I will say this, is that all of life is learning how to respond to things that you inherently don't like. All of life. And learning how to be happy and deal with them properly and use them to your advantage so you can look at that as an opportunity instead of something to run away from, right? You got an opportunity to learn how to deal with conflict. If someone wants to fight you, let's talk about it. Let's not run away from it. Let's deal with it. And then you have that in your toolbox the next time. And if you're a child or a teenager and you start getting older, if you don't realize, and I say this all the time, because your parents might not teach this to you, but listen very carefully. Not that there are a lot of kids listening to this podcast, because you shouldn't listen to this podcast for your kid. But all you have to do is know what you control and what you don't. You guys couldn't control your dad splitting when you were 7 to go get milk. By the way, if he shows up, ask him where the milk is 40 years later. That'd be funny.
How are those smokes?
Did you get smokes? Did you smokes back?
I was pretty sure my dad wasn't coming back because he told me to take care of my wife or his wife, my mom, and my sister. So that was okay. That was a nice little.
Yeah, thanks. Got it, Dad.
At least you had the expectation that he wasn't coming back.
Hey, 7-year-old.
Yeah,
you're in charge.
It's on you.
There you go.
Good luck.
Yeah, but I mean,
that
from
didn't fuck me up.
Yeah, I know it did, but from that you've learned how to get through that. Whether or not you know it, everything you become today is because of that. And if that didn't happen to you, you're not grateful today. Like, I'm grateful for all the shit. And when Ryan talks about being grateful to his dad for taking off, or grateful for your pain and your suffering, that's when you know you're healthier. Is when you take all that stuff and you go, fuck, I needed that to get to this place in my life. And if I didn't learn how to do that, if I didn't learn how to be happy through that process, if I didn't learn how to deal with it and respond to it well, objectively well, I wouldn't be here, right? So when you finally get to that point as a parent, and we're starting a brand new podcast coming up in the next couple of weeks about this, actually, about how to respond well, how to not be angry, how to let go of resentment, how to learn where to go for answers. Because we live in this fucking anger all the time, right? Because we never got the tools from parents who should have given it to us. Almost all of our issues, PTSD, anxiety, stress, comes from familial trauma. Almost all of it, right? All of it. And it makes us who we are. We put up walls here because familiar trauma.
It shapes us, for sure.
We let people in because familiar trauma. We get angry and we fucking lose our minds because familiar trauma about dumb shit. Because the last thing we want to feel is hurt. But that's the lean in. That's the fun stuff. That's when you go, okay, I'm not going to run from this. I'm going to respond to it, and I'm going to get better at it. That's
guarantee you that if I hadn't hit rock bottom financially, emotionally in the past, I would have never resigned from my job this week. Just so you know, I would have stuck it out because I would have been too afraid to know that this is stable. This is something I'm not happy, but I'm going to stay here because it offers me the stability. But knowing that I was able to come out of shit in the past, if this is a wrong decision, whatever, I'll just find another one. There's
find
a way.
Another wrong decision.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll just keep going through the wrong decisions until I find the right one. But if you're stuck and you're stalemated in something you fucking hate doing, just because of you can't get over your own fear of yourself, you're in trouble, and you need to really examine and give yourself more credit for the shit that you have gone through in your life, and reflect on how you resolved those situations in the past, and they will get you through the ones in the future. And you will not be stuck at a shitty job. You won't be stuck in a shitty marriage. You won't be stuck in anything you don't want to be stuck in. Have more faith in yourself.
Attaboy.
Well, you brought up something too interesting, and you brought up something I am not good at all, and I've been working on this. Is that piece where you figure out how to forgive and let go, and if I mean, I can joke about myself, and I use humor as a shield, but I am shitty at that. Like I'm the guy sitting here for half an hour telling everybody to block everybody that pisses them off, right? And I have been practicing avoidance for a long time. I'm good in conflict situations for some fucked up reason. Like if you step up to me in public and you wanna give it a go, I'll be there and I'll go toe to toe with the best of them. But I will avoid difficult conversations that I need to have with the people in my life. Just because I'm just like, fuck, I'm not dealing with that. I'm just not. I'll find a way to work around that. And tonight I'm going to go home and I'll drink 8 beer instead of 6, maybe 10.
As you do. Listen, hopefully y'all enjoyed yourself today. We had some fun, talked about some good stuff, some fun stuff, some sexy yoga. We talked a great story about Damar Hamlin. That is just another wonderful thing that we got to experience today. That Damar Hamlin from the Buffalo Bills, alive, awake, aware, writing, communicating. He seems to be okay, which is great news. Give to his GoFundMe, which is well over 7 million. I think he's approaching 8 now. Give to his GoFundMe if you get a chance. And that's the story of the day. I mean, we can sit around, we can talk about lots of weird shit, but more importantly, life is important. Damar is going to be all right. And look out. I think they might win their first Super Bowl ever this year. I hate to do it.
Don't knock on wood. Everyone's still making fun of me that they're so good this year, and I've been a fan for the first year.
You haven't fucked it up yet?
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you are. Thanks for doing this. Lachlan Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton is where you can find him, at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. It's Ryan Lindley. You can download his Lynn's Report. Subscribe to it anywhere you get your fine podcast. Follow him on Twitter as well. Good to see you, boys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, man.
Take care.
See you, boys. Thank
you.
Bye-bye. That was a good one.
That was fun. The unemployed Ryan Lindley. So we're starting a new podcast. And it's going to be called, well, I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be called. But two things that I've been thinking about for the past, I would say, year, is that there are a lot of angry young men out there. Angry. And for the reasons that we talk about all the time. So we're going to do the opposite of what Jordan Peterson does. We're going to tell stories and talk to people who have gone down those roads and have realized a better life, have invested in themselves, have decided that they're going to look for answers to be happy instead of miserable and angry all the time. And we're going to start that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It'll probably roll out in the next month or so. It won't be live. It'll be recorded. But there are people out there that have actually gone to great lengths to find answers, to find out how to be happy people, how to let go of resentment, how to live a better life, how to be accountable in your life. And we're going to find those people. We've got our first 3 guests scheduled already. We're going to find those people. We're going to share you those stories of addiction, stories of mental health, stories of familial issues, how they got on top of it, the resources that they used, people that they talked to, life philosophies, living by values, all that stuff. So that's what we're going to do in the next month, I would say. And we're going to share that with you guys. It's just going to be a labor of fun. We're going to have some fun doing it. We're not going to get all macabre and weird. We're going to share with you some philosophy, strategy, values, things that I think is missing from this fucking society that we live in, where it's really easy for us to say, oh, it's about culture. It's never about culture. Fuck culture. Anybody can pretend to be a culture. This is about you individually and your happiness. This is about your anger. This is about your frustration. This is about the way you perceive life. And that's really what it comes down to. Poisonous life perceptions, which feed into your misery because you keep running into these roadblocks of, oh, that person won't let me do this, so you're ruining my life. Oh, that person did this, and that's how it affects my life. No. That's the coward's way out. So the new podcast will be talking about those things. We'll be dealing with those things, and we're going to take a swing at trying to help people out instead of making the world a worse place. Like this guy and his personal Dracula. You're welcome. Have a great day. Thanks to our friends and our partners from kivlaw.ca. If you're looking for a great defense attorney, kivlaw.ca. Rob Kivlikin is an outstanding attorney, defense attorney who will want to help you out of trouble. And listen, if you're in legal trouble, it doesn't matter if you did it or you didn't. You want to kind of fucking learn from that experience. This is your guy. Southern Ontario's best defense attorney team. Email him if you want an instant reaction, instant answer, instant help, an instant friend in the legal game. If you're up against it, Robert@kivlaw.ca. Again, Robert@kivlaw.ca. Make sure you check it out. Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm not going to do 12 rules. Dean's 12 rules. PJ's asking me. It's going to be, 11. You can do 11 rules. The reason why I'm doing 11 rules, one less than 12. You're welcome. It's like 7-minute abs, 6-minute abs. You're going to buy 6-minute abs anytime. 11 rules for life. And then we'll do like maybe 10 after that. Because shithead's still doing 12. And none of them are real. Anyway, thanks to our friends as well over at Ed's Fine Imports. His Gitch, we need to get them on you immediately, fellas. They're incredible. They're boxer briefs, luxury boxer briefs. I mean, pouch in the front, bunch of different colors. New stuff has just come in, a bunch of different colors, shapes, sizes. Boxer briefs for men, Canadian made, pouch in the front, super breathable. This podcast is always brought to you by Gitch, promo code GITCH3. Go to edsfineimports.com. Order his Gitch, Canadian made underwear for Canadian fellas, right now at edsfineimports.com. Last but not least, our friends at Cantork. Listen, there's one company in Canada that actually produces, manufactures all of their industrial torque tools in Canada. Everybody else does it out of Canada. Colin Livingston, CEO of Cantork, brought it all back to Canada a couple of years ago because he loves this country, and he runs everything out of Canada, including Edmonton, Ontario. At Cantork, they make rugged, hardworking, beautiful torque wrenches, looseners, fasteners, big projects. You don't have a solution, they will make one for you. Good Canadian people, Canada's leading industrial tool experts, offering you the best in sales, service, rentals, calibration, maintenance, and custom fabrication of industrial torque tools. No matter the scale of your bolting project, they have your solution. Go to cantork.com. Thanks for tuning in today. Appreciate it, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 o'clock, right here on this stream. You can follow us and watch this live on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show. If you can go and subscribe, say nice things, I'd appreciate that. Same thing. If you go to Twitch, you got a Twitch account, go to Twitch, Dean Blundell TV on Twitch, anywhere you get your fine podcasts as well. Google, Apple, Spotify, etc. Be good to each other. We'll see you tomorrow around 4 o'clock. I can't remember who you have on. Oh, Kristen Kimmick, Bill's Mafia babe. She's awesome. We're going to talk about Damar Hamlin and the ongoing incredible news of his seemingly miraculous recovery. Such a great story. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. See you tomorrow with Kristen Kimmick. Bye.